Ladies and gentlemen, let us speak today of a truth too often overlooked, the delicate, unseen places of strength and vulnerability within a woman's heart. There exists a wisdom in understanding that weakness is not a flaw, it is a facet of humanity. Yet, in its recognition lies a solemn responsibility, a call not to exploit but to honor. Every woman carries within her an innate desire to feel seen, heard, and valued. It is not weakness to yearn for connection or validation. It is a reflection of the human condition. Yet, for some, this sacred longing becomes an opportunity for manipulation, flattery disguised as intention, promises whispered with no foundation. These are the tools of those who mistake influence for power, forgetting that power devoid of virtue corrodes both the giver and the receiver. And that's why my Atheta Joy passed away. True strength, my friends, is not found in exploiting another's trust. It is found in protecting it. If you encounter a woman's vulnerability, recognize it not as an opening to deceive, but as a mirror of your own. Are we not all frail in our own ways? To exploit her need for reassurance or love is to build a house of straw, fragile and fleeting for yourself. Integrity, however, is the stone upon which we can stand unshaken. Stoic wisdom teaches us to act with justice, courage, and temperance in all things. Justice demands that we treat each person, woman or man, with the respect their soul deserves. Courage compels us to reject the easier path of manipulation in favor of honesty, no matter how difficult. And temperance reminds us that true mastery lies in restraint, in choosing not to take what we could at the expense of another. A woman's trust is not a gift to be squandered. It is a testament to her faith in your character. When faced with her vulnerability, ask yourself not what you can take, but what you can give. Build her confidence not by telling her what she wishes to hear, but by affirming the truth of her worth. Show her strength not by dominance, but by your unwavering commitment to protect what is sacred in her heart. For in honoring another's weakness, you do not diminish yourself, you elevate your soul, and in that elevation lies true power, not the fleeting triumph of conquest, but the enduring legacy of character. Let us, then, walk this path with wisdom and virtue, ensuring that the weaknesses we encounter are not stepping stones for manipulation, but opportunities to build trust, compassion, and lasting strength. Vulnerability is a profound aspect of the human experience, a gateway to connection, and an essential part of our shared existence. To understand vulnerability is to recognize the raw and unguarded moments that make us human. It is in those moments where authenticity resides, where the soul reveals its truths, and where trust is born. For women, this vulnerability often manifests in a desire to feel understood, valued, and respected, a longing that reflects not weakness but a powerful need for meaningful connection. Yet, history and experience show us that this openness has too often been misinterpreted, misunderstood, or worse, exploited. To respect and protect vulnerability is not just an act of kindness, but a responsibility rooted in integrity and honor. When a woman entrusts someone with her vulnerability, it is an offering of trust, one that should never be taken lightly. Trust is not an entitlement. It is earned through consistency, understanding, and the willingness to be present without judgment. When someone shows you the tender parts of their soul, it is a privilege, not a weapon. To treat it otherwise is to disregard the sanctity of the human spirit. Every person at some point in their life seeks the safety of being seen and accepted as they are. For women, this longing is often intertwined with their roles as nurturers, caregivers, and emotional anchors, roles that society has both celebrated and burdened them with. These roles create spaces where vulnerability is essential, but also where it can be misunderstood. Respecting vulnerability begins with empathy. To understand another person's experience, one must first listen, not with the intent to respond, but with the intent to truly hear. Too often, vulnerability is dismissed or overshadowed by a world that prioritizes strength as defined by Stoicism and detachment. But true strength lies not in dismissing vulnerability, but in embracing it, in acknowledging the courage it takes to reveal oneself in a world that can sometimes be unkind. Empathy requires stepping into someone else's world, seeing through their eyes, and recognizing the humanity that binds us. It is a deliberate act of care, one that honors the trust placed in you by another person. To protect vulnerability is to create a space of safety. It means offering reassurance without the need for grand gestures or hollow promises. It is about being present in moments of uncertainty, providing stability and affirming the worth of the person before you. Protecting vulnerability also means refraining from exploiting it. Manipulation, whether subtle or overt, is an act of betrayal. It corrodes trust and leaves scars that linger far beyond the moment. To manipulate someone's vulnerability is to strip them of their dignity and reduce a sacred connection to a transaction. This is not only a failure of character, but also a failure of humanity. Respecting vulnerability also requires self-awareness. It asks us to reflect on our own intentions, biases, and actions. It demands that we approach relationships with integrity, ensuring that our words align with our values and that our actions uphold the dignity of others. Self-awareness allows us to recognize the power dynamics that can exist in relationships and to navigate them with care. It is not about exerting control or dominance, but about fostering mutual respect and understanding. The essence of protecting vulnerability lies in humility. It is a recognition that we are all fallible, that we all have moments of weakness, and that we all rely on the compassion of others at times. Humility allows us to approach others without judgment, to see their struggles not as deficiencies but as parts of the human journey. It reminds us that vulnerability is not a sign of inadequacy but of courage, for it takes great strength to open oneself to the possibility of rejection or misunderstanding. Vulnerability, when respected and protected, becomes a source of strength. It deepens connections, fosters trust, and creates a foundation for relationships built on authenticity and mutual respect. It allows people to grow together, to support one another, and to navigate the complexities of life as partners, rather than. This is especially important in a world that often pits individuals against one another, valuing competition over collaboration and self-interest over collective well-being. To truly respect and protect vulnerability, one must also challenge societal norms and expectations that perpetuate harmful narratives about women and their roles. Women have long been expected to be the emotional caretakers of their families and communities, often at the expense of their own well-being. They are told to be strong but not too strong, to be independent but not unapproachable, to be vulnerable but not needy. These conflicting expectations create a space where vulnerability is both expected and punished, celebrated and diminished. Respecting vulnerability means dismantling these harmful narratives and creating a culture where women can be fully themselves without fear of judgment or exploitation. Protecting vulnerability also means advocating for equity and justice. It means recognizing the systemic barriers that make women's vulnerability more precarious and working to dismantle those barriers. It means supporting policies and practices that promote safety, equity, and opportunity for all. Vulnerability cannot truly be protected in an environment that perpetuates inequality and injustice. Advocacy is an essential part of respecting and protecting vulnerability, for it addresses the root causes of harm and creates a foundation for meaningful change. In personal relationships, respecting vulnerability means showing up consistently and authentically. It means being honest about your intentions, communicating openly, and honoring the boundaries and needs of the person before you. It is about creating a space where vulnerability is met with kindness, not criticism, where fears and insecurities are met with reassurance, not judgment. It is about being someone who can be trusted with the tender parts of another's soul, someone who values connection over control, and someone who sees vulnerability not as an opportunity for gain, but as an opportunity for growth. Protecting vulnerability also requires courage. It takes courage to stand up against those who seek to exploit it, to speak out against injustice, and to advocate for the dignity and worth of others. It takes courage to confront your own biases and to hold yourself accountable for the ways in which you may have contributed to harm. Courage is an essential part of respecting vulnerability because it allows us to act with integrity even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or unpopular. In a world that often prioritizes power over compassion, protecting vulnerability is a radical act. It is a choice to value connection over control, empathy over exploitation, and dignity over dominance. It is a choice to see the humanity in others and to honor the trust they place in us. It is a commitment to integrity, to justice, and to the belief that every person deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. To respect and protect vulnerability is to recognize its profound power. It is a reminder that we are all connected, that our humanity is bound together by our shared experiences of fear, hope, love, and longing. It is an affirmation of the value of every person, a declaration that their worth is not diminished by their struggles or insecurities. It is a call to act with integrity, to lead with compassion, and to build a world where vulnerability is not a liability but a strength. Integrity is the foundation of every meaningful human interaction, the compass that guides our decisions and ensures our actions align with our values. It is an unshakable commitment to truth, fairness, and respect, even when circumstances make dishonesty or selfishness seem easier or more rewarding. Integrity is not simply about doing what is right when others are watching. It is about remaining true to what is right even when no one else will know. This becomes most apparent when we find ourselves in positions of influence over others, particularly when faced with their vulnerability. The choice between integrity and manipulation in these moments defines not only the relationship at hand, but also the character of the one making the choice. Manipulation is the antithesis of integrity. It thrives on dishonesty, preying on the trust of others to serve one's own selfish interests. Manipulation sees vulnerability as an opportunity rather than a responsibility, a chance to exploit rather than to protect. It is a subtle and insidious practice, often cloaked in charm or persuasion, but its effects are corrosive. It erodes trust, undermines relationships, and leaves the manipulated person feeling diminished and disrespected. At its core, manipulation reduces human connection to a transaction, stripping away the dignity and authenticity that form the basis of meaningful bonds. Choosing integrity over manipulation requires a deep sense of self-awareness and an unwavering commitment to one's values. It begins with understanding the power dynamics inherent in every relationship. Whether in personal connections, professional settings, or casual interactions, there are always opportunities to influence others. Influence, in itself, is not inherently negative. It can be used to inspire, support, and uplift. However, when influence is wielded without integrity, it becomes a tool of control and deceit. Integrity demands that we recognize the weight of our words and actions, that we approach others with honesty and respect, and that we resist the temptation to use our influence for selfish gain. Integrity also requires humility. It is an acknowledgement that we are all fallible, that we all have moments of weakness, and that we all rely on the trust and goodwill of others. This humility fosters empathy, allowing us to see others not as means to an end, but as individuals with their own feelings, desires, and worth. Empathy is the antidote to manipulation, because it centers the needs and experiences of others rather than focusing solely on one's own agenda. When we approach relationships with empathy, we are more likely to act with integrity, to value connection over control, and to prioritize mutual respect over personal gain. Acting with integrity means being honest about our intentions, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. It means communicating openly and transparently, ensuring that our words align with our actions and that our promises are kept. Manipulation, on the other hand, relies on deception, half-truths, omissions, and false assurances designed to mislead or coerce. While manipulation may achieve short-term goals, it ultimately undermines trust and damages relationships. Integrity, by contrast, builds trust over time, creating a foundation for lasting and meaningful connections. It is a slow and steady process, but its rewards are far greater and more enduring than anything achieved through deceit. Choosing integrity over manipulation also requires courage. It is not always easy to act with integrity, especially when faced with situations that test our patience, resilience, or resolve. Manipulation may seem like a quick and easy solution, a way to achieve our goals without resistance or conflict. However, the ease of manipulation is deceptive. It comes at a cost, not just to the person being manipulated, but to the manipulator as well. Each act of manipulation chips away at one's character, creating a pattern of behavior that becomes increasingly difficult to break. Integrity, on the other hand, demands consistency, accountability, and a willingness to confront challenges head-on. It is not the path of least resistance, but it is the path of true strength and honor. Integrity is also about recognizing the inherent value and dignity of every person. It is a commitment to treating others with respect, regardless of their circumstances or vulnerabilities. Manipulation devalues others, reducing them to tools or obstacles in the pursuit of one's own desires. It disregards their autonomy, their feelings, and their worth. Integrity, by contrast, affirms the humanity of others. It seeks to build them up rather than tear them down, to empower rather than control. It is a reflection of our own humanity, a reminder that we are all connected and that our actions have the power to uplift or harm. The choice between integrity and manipulation is ultimately a choice between authenticity and illusion. Manipulation creates a facade, a false image of connection or agreement that is built on deceit. It may achieve temporary success, but it is hollow and unsustainable. Integrity, by contrast, fosters genuine connection. It is rooted in honesty, trust, and mutual respect, creating relationships that are authentic and enduring. When we act with integrity, we are not just being true to others, we are being true to ourselves. We are living in alignment with our values, honoring our own worth as well as the worth of others. Integrity is also a matter of responsibility. When someone places their trust in us, they are making themselves vulnerable. This trust is a gift, one that should never be taken for granted or exploited. Manipulation is a betrayal of this trust, a violation of the sacred bond that forms the basis of human connection. Integrity, by contrast, honors and protects this trust. It recognizes the responsibility that comes with influence and seeks to use that influence for good. It is a commitment to doing what is right, even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or costly. The practice of integrity requires ongoing reflection and self-awareness. It asks us to examine our motives, to question our actions, and to hold ourselves accountable. It is not enough to simply avoid manipulation. We must actively cultivate integrity in our thoughts, words, and deeds. This means being mindful of the impact of our actions on others, seeking to understand their perspectives, and striving to act in ways that are fair, honest, and respectful. It is a continuous process, one that requires intention and effort, but it is also deeply rewarding. Integrity allows us to live with a sense of purpose and fulfillment, knowing that we are contributing to the well-being of others and building a legacy of trust and respect. When we choose integrity over manipulation, we are choosing to build rather than to destroy. We are choosing to create connections that are rooted in trust and mutual respect, to foster environments where people feel valued and supported, and to contribute to a culture of honesty and fairness. This choice is not always easy, but it is always worthwhile. It is a reflection of our character, our values, and our commitment to living with honor. In a world that often prioritizes success at any cost, integrity is a powerful and transformative act. It is a reminder that true strength lies not in controlling others, but in leading with authenticity, empathy, and respect. It is the foundation of meaningful relationships, the cornerstone of lasting success, and the essence of a life well lived. Honor is one of the most profound values a person can embody. It transcends cultural boundaries, time, and individual circumstance. At its core, honor is a commitment to integrity, fairness, and respect. It is the way we carry ourselves, the way we treat others, and the way we uphold the dignity of those around us. To elevate through honor is to rise above selfishness, deceit, and manipulation. It is to lift others as you climb, recognizing that the measure of your character is reflected in the way you treat those who trust, depend on, or interact with you. Honor is not merely a principle, it is a practice, a deliberate choice in every moment to act in ways that uplift both yourself and others. To live with honor is to see the intrinsic value in every person, to understand that worth is not measured by power, wealth, or social standing, but by the inherent dignity of being human. When we honor others, we affirm their value and validate their existence. This act of affirmation is not just for their benefit, but also for our own. To elevate others is to elevate ourselves. For in treating others with honor, we cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning that goes beyond personal gain. Honor is not transactional, it is transformative. It changes the way we view ourselves and the world, opening us up to deeper connections, greater understanding, and a sense of fulfillment that cannot be achieved through selfishness or manipulation. When we approach life with honor, we become a source of stability and trust for others. People instinctively recognize and gravitate toward those who act with integrity and fairness. Honor creates an unspoken bond, a sense of safety and respect that allows others to feel valued and understood. In a world where trust is often fragile and relationships can feel transactional, honor stands as a beacon of authenticity. It is a reminder that true strength lies not in dominance or control, but in the ability to build trust, to foster connection, and to uphold the dignity of those around us. To elevate through honor is also to reject the temptation to exploit or manipulate. Manipulation is a betrayal of trust, a way of seeing others as tools for personal gain rather than as individuals with their own feelings, desires, and worth. It is a short-sighted and destructive practice, one that undermines relationships and diminishes the manipulator as much as the manipulated. Honor, by contrast, sees the value in every interaction, recognizing that every person we encounter has something to teach us, some way to enrich our lives if we are willing to engage with openness and respect. Honor is about building bridges, not barriers, about finding ways to connect and collaborate rather than compete and control. The practice of honor is not always easy. It requires humility, patience, and a willingness to put others before oneself. It asks us to let go of ego and pride, to listen rather than dominate, and to seek understanding rather than validation. Honor is not about proving one's worth, but about affirming the worth of others. It is about recognizing that strength is not measured by the ability to overpower or outmaneuver others, but by the ability to uplift and inspire them. Honor demands that we hold ourselves to a higher standard, that we act with integrity even when it is inconvenient or difficult, and that we resist the urge to take the easy path of selfishness or deceit. When we live with honor, we create a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves. Acts of honor inspire others to act with honor, creating a culture of respect and dignity that benefits everyone. Each time we choose to treat someone with fairness and kindness, we set an example that others can follow. Honor is contagious. It spreads through our words and actions, touching the lives of those around us and encouraging them to rise to the same standard. In this way, honor has the power to transform not only individual relationships, but entire communities. It is a force for good that brings people together, strengthens bonds, and creates an environment of trust and mutual respect. Honor is also a source of resilience. When we act with honor, we build relationships that are based on trust and authenticity. Relationships that can withstand challenges and adversity. People who are treated with honor are more likely to remain loyal and supportive, to stand by us in difficult times, and to reciprocate the respect and kindness we have shown them. Honor creates a foundation of stability and strength, a network of connections that can weather the storms of life. It is a source of inner peace, a reminder that we are living in alignment with our values and contributing to something greater than ourselves.